My name is Arden, and the night I learned my husband was cheating started with a notification that should have been mine. It was a Tuesday. Rain taped against my office window, a steady, nervous rhythm. I was finishing a payroll audit when his work phone that he left on the entry table like a man who thinks he is careful, lit up with a banner no one could miss. "Can I wear your shirt again tonight?" No name, just a heart, then 3 dots, the kind that tell you more is coming. I did not pick up the phone. I did what I always do. I took a breath. I counted to 5. I opened my laptop and pulled a thread. I have been a people operations director for over a decade. I know patterns. I know expense codes. I know when a number looks innocent until you hold it to the light. 10 minutes into the company card ledger, patterns started glowing like exit signs. Boutique hotel within city limits. Ride shares late on weeknights he claimed were strategy dinners. Duplicate meal receipts 2 blocks apart on the same evening. Small amounts. Forgettable. Unless you line them up. I did. Then I checked the catering calendar my team manages. A private tasting booked under an internal code we use for executive offsites, but the venue? The same boutique hotel. 3 days after my birthday. I sat very still. Here is something you should know about me. I do not do scenes. I do not hurl plates or wake neighbors. I do math. I build timelines. I let the facts say the thing my heart is too tired to repeat. While the rain thickened, I opened our home router app and pulled the device list. A new iPad had joined 3 weeks earlier. Not mine. Not his. I tapped into the connection history. It slept here on Thursdays and Sundays. It streamed shows I do not watch. Same nights as those strategy dinners. I made tea I did not drink. I reread the banner I was not supposed to see. Then I did something small that would change everything later. I took a photograph of the lock screen. Not the message. The timestamp. The battery level. The Wi-Fi icon. Little things juries and judges and HR directors notice when memories start lying. At 2 in the morning, I opened a blank document and gave it a name that felt like a dare, if I am right. By noon the next day, I had a map. Hotel charges. Ride shares. A florist receipt under a vendor I had on board myself. And one more entry that made my stomach sink in a way the others did not. A candidate reimbursement for a junior marketing hire we had rushed through because talent waits for no one. Her name looked familiar because I had signed her welcome packet. She started 4 weeks ago. She sat 2 floors below me. I scrolled her application. Transfer from a smaller agency. Glowing references. Portfolio full of unoriginal cleverness that men in tight blazers call fresh. A note in the margin from my husband, who is our head of growth, fast track. High ceiling. I remember that day. He said it quickly, like he was talking about the weather. I said sure, like I always did when decisions were made 3 floors above my pay grade and I was told they came from me. That night he came home late smelling like the candle they burn in the boutique hotel lobby, the one I had complimented once and then stopped noticing. He kissed my cheek like a man auditioning for a role he does not want. I asked about his day. He said the word pipeline 4 times. I nodded like I believed in ours. And then, because I am not a woman who waits for knives to fall, I set my alarm for 5 in the morning and arrived at the office before the lights remembered how to wake up. I sat at my desk and did what I was hired to do. I protected the company. I documented a conflict of interest building a nest in our payroll. By 9, I had the receipts labeled. By 11, I had an internal ethics brief drafted with names redacted. By 1, I knew redaction would not be necessary. The junior hire, the girl from the portfolio, walked into the lobby wearing his sweatshirt. Not a brand match. His sweatshirt. The faded one from our beach trip 2 summers ago. She did not see me. That was her first mistake. I did not confront her. That would come later, When I had more than a photograph and a sweatshirt and a sick feeling that wanted to throw a chair. What I did instead was pull the org chart and count lines. There is a rule in my world, and it is simple. No manager dates a direct or an indirect report. No exceptions. We write it. We train it. We look people in the eye and we make them repeat it back to us. Then we watch them break it and act surprised. I printed the rule. I put it in a folder with the receipts and the timeline and my husband's performance review because life is nothing if not symmetrical. Then I booked a meeting with our CEO for Friday morning and titled it plainly. Risk. I did not know yet how far I would take this. I only knew one thing with the clean, cold certainty of winter air. If he made our home a lie, I would make our company tell the truth. Friday arrived with sunshine that felt rude. Our CEO, Maya, reads people like contracts. She does not waste words. She poured coffee, did not offer me any, and said, "How bad?" I slid the folder across her desk. No adjectives. Just nouns that bit. She started with the policy page. She already knew what it said. Then she flipped through receipts, paused at the hotel, the florist, the ride shares. Her jaw tightened at the sweatshirt photo, not because it proved anything on its own, but because she has sons. Is the employee safe? She asked. Not is the story true. Not how could he. Not can we bury this. The right question. I kept my voice steady. There is no allegation of coercion on record. Yet. But optics are terrible. He approved her fast-track comp. He signed her bonus trigger. He scheduled her for late-night sprints and logged the time himself. Maya stared at the ceiling like answers might be written in the HVAC. We handle this inside first, she said. No gossip. No grandstanding. If this is what it looks like, we separate them yesterday. I nodded. I can implement an interim reporting change immediately. Move her under another director. Freeze his approvals. Pull his card. Maya's hand hovered over the folder. You think he'll fight? He fights by pretending this is dumb, I said. Then he apologizes to the air, not to the person. Then he asks for empathy. Then he accuses whoever enforces the rule of enjoying it. Maya blinked once, slowly. Personal? Predictable, I said. She tapped the folder twice. Do not talk to him yet. I will. You move the org boxes quietly. I want the reporting line changed in the system before he walks in on Monday. I already queued it, I said. That is the thing about being underestimated. You learn to do the work before anyone asks. I left her office with authorization to do the one thing that mattered, remove access. The system logs do not care about vows. They care about roles. I reassigned budget approvals, redirected the juniors' timesheets, paused a company card, and added a silent flag to all reimbursement requests that touched either of their names. Then I drafted a neutral email to the junior. No accusations. No moralizing. Just a change notice that said, effective immediately, your manager of record is Camila R. Please route questions to her. I CC'd legal. I BCC'd Maya. I did not CC my husband. At 5 in the afternoon, I went home and made pasta I did not want. He texted at 6, 3 little words that used to mean something. Running a bit late. He arrived at 9 with a wine I liked because that is the mask cheaters choose first. They weaponize your favorites. We ate in the quiet way couples do when their lives fork and they pretend they did not feel the shudder. He asked about my day. I said busy and nothing else. He told me a story about a pitch that sounded like a story he had told before. I laughed in the right places and excused myself early. At 2 in the morning, the iPad that was not mine lit up in the living room. He had fallen asleep on the couch, the way people do when they know they should be uncomfortable but cannot admit why. A message crawled across the glass. Tomorrow. The key? I stared at the line like it might rearrange itself into something less obvious. The key. To what? Not our house. She had no reason to ask. Not the office. She had a badge. Not a heart, not a life, not a promise. Something practical. Something stupid enough to leave crumbs. At 8 the next morning, I asked him casually if he had plans for Saturday. He said golf. He has never played golf. That was the moment I understood the key was not a metaphor. It was a door he was opening somewhere he did not live. By noon I had the address. He made the worst kind of mistake. He reused a pet name he once tried on me in a calendar invite that synced to his shared work calendar because he is, above all things, lazy with settings. Coffee with Starling. Location, a building near the river I know for its perfectly staged kitchens and perfectly staged lives. I did not go there. Not yet. I went to the leasing office online and requested a virtual brochure. The algorithm rewarded me with a pop-up tour and a PDF that included floor plans, move-in specials, and a list of preferred employers eligible for a rent discount. Our company was on it. I closed my eyes. There is this moment in every disaster where you realize it was not sudden. It was engineered. The meetings. The late nights. The soft onboarding for a girl who did not know yet she was being used as a solution to a crisis he created all by himself. I made a new folder and titled it with the calm of a surgeon, Separation. Not ours. Not yet. Theirs. The building's sales agent called me back within an hour because that is how fast beautiful lies move. She chirped through square footage and incentives and a referral program that would have been funny if it were not about my life. When she asked what I did for a living, I told the truth. People operations. She warmed immediately. Oh, we love your company. We just approved a 1-bedroom for one of your marketing folks. Such a sweetheart. I smiled in a way no one could hear. Name? I cannot share that, she said, suddenly professional. Of course not, I said, and thanked her with a voice that sounded like anyone else's. I did not need the name. I needed the move-in date. She had already given it to me without knowing. End of the month. 4 days from now. I was not going to go there and pound on a door and tear my throat on a woman who did not owe me vows. I was going to do something pettier and purer. I was going to let the lease process work the way it does when grown-ups show up without their grown-up papers. I emailed the building's generic inbox from my work address and asked for a verification of employment form for a candidate. I attached our standard HR letterhead and a blank template. Within minutes, a reply arrived with a filled PDF for the junior. Salary, title, start date. All blessed and stamped by a leasing manager who was multitasking her way through a slow Saturday. I stared at the salary line. It was 10% above what I approved. He had slid in an off-cycle adjustment before the first review. He had signed it himself. I printed the PDF. I made 2 copies. One went into my risk folder. One went into separation. Then I drafted an internal note to legal about an off-cycle comp change that violated our controls. Not a story. Not a confession. Just a question on a record that would be subpoenaed if this became the kind of storm that sweeps boards. At home that evening, he was attentive in the practiced way of men who do not want to be asked where they were. He cooked. He played our playlist. He suggested a trip we had always talked about. He poured me wine and watched my face like it was a mirror. I let him. At midnight he went to the kitchen for water and left his phone on the coffee table. It buzzed and flipped itself to life. I got the candles you like. A photo followed. A small table. A cheap rug. A key in a dish shaped like a leaf. The kind of staging you think is romantic when you are 23 and the person buying the candles is not your husband. I did not cry. Crying is for endings. I was at a beginning. On Monday morning, Maya called my husband into her office and closed the door. I did not sit outside and listen. I had already built what the lawyers call a narrow hallway, only one way forward, with walls that do not move. By noon, he knew his approvals were gone. By 2, he was stripped of direct reports pending a relationship review. By 5, he came home with a story about organizational realignment and temporary optics and a speech about how we should not let work bleed into home. I let him talk until he ran out of words. Then I asked him if he wanted pasta for dinner. He blinked like I had responded in a language he had not learned. He nodded. He ate. He showered. He slept like a child after a tantrum. On Tuesday, I scheduled a one-on-one with the junior. I chose a conference room with windows. I brought water and nothing else. She arrived early wearing a blouse that did not fit her yet. She tried to smile and failed. "Why am I here?" she asked. "Because you are talented," I said. "And because you are in danger of being defined by a story you did not write." Her mouth trembled. "Am I fired?" "No," I said. "You are reassigned. Effective last week." She blinked. "I do not understand." "You will," I said softly. "And when you do, I want you to know something. We will protect you even if we do not protect him." She swallowed hard. "He said," she stopped. I waited. She whispered it. "He said you would make this miserable for me." There it was. Not a confession. Not a denial. A prediction he planted to make me the villain in a play he directed. I folded my hands. "I am not here to make anything miserable," I said. "I am here to make sure your work is the only thing anyone talks about when they say your name." She looked at me like I was lying because men like him teach girls like her to expect the worst from women like me. "Do you have a key?" I asked gently. She frowned. "To what?" "To anything he promised," I said. Her eyes filled. She nodded once. "I will not ask where," I said. "I will not ask why. I will only ask this. Do not use it. Do not move in. Do not build a life in a lie someone else will ask you to pay for." She left the room with her shoulders not yet square. That would come later. That night my husband did not come home. He did not come home. At 1 in the morning I texted, "Are you safe?" Not "Where are you?" Not "Who with?" Safety is admissible. Jealousy is not. At 6, his reply arrived. "Crashing at a friend's. Early call." The period after friends did more work than the word. He wanted it to look finished. By 8, Maya had him in a glass room with legal. I did not attend. People think HR wants blood, we want paper that can stand up in tornadoes. While the interview ran, I finished the mechanics, audit flags on his spend, a soft hold on his corporate card, a read-only permission set on every approval queue with his name. The system accepted each click without ceremony. When the door finally opened, he walked past my desk without looking. I pretended to be reading a policy I wrote. At 10, the leasing office called my direct line. "Hi. We're verifying employment for your team member and an additional guarantor. Is now a good time?" The agent said the junior's name, then a second one. "My husband's." "Please email the standard verification form," I said, steady. "Per policy, we only confirm title and start date. No salary over the phone." The agent apologized. I gave her the generic compliance inbox, then did one more thing. I forwarded facilities our preferred employer list with a note that legal was pausing all housing perks pending an ethics review. It was the truth. It also froze the lease process like a pond in January. At noon, IT notified me an auto-reply had just gone up on his email. "On administrative leave." 3 words that taste like metal if you have ever had to type them for someone you share a mortgage with. I took my lunch with Priya, our payroll lead, because she is the kind of friend who will sit with you in silence until your throat remembers how to make sound. "Are you going to burn it down?" she asked finally, eyes on her soup. "No," I said. "I am going to follow the exits he marked with his own hands." Back upstairs, I scheduled an ethics training for managers, mandatory, with sign-in, because nothing sobers a company like a room full of adults repeating out loud the rule they broke. I booked the large classroom. I put my name on the deck. I did not hide. At 3, I brought the junior. She asked me to use her name, Nova, into a conference room with windows and a tissue box I hoped we would not need. She looked too brave for the day she was having. Legal interviewed you? I asked. She nodded. I told them what they asked. She stared at the table. I did not lie. Good, I said. Telling the truth and getting a lawyer are not opposites. I pushed a printed one-pager across to her: benefits, EAP, external counseling, paid time for appointments. The practical things people need when the personal sets a fire in their professional life. You have options. He said this was different, she whispered, ashamed of a sentence that was never hers to carry. He said people would not understand. He is right about people, I said. He is wrong about me. She swallowed. Am I losing my job? No, I said. You are moving teams. Effective last week. A flicker of relief. And then a fear I recognized. Under who? Under me, I said, because Camila, the director I had placed Nova with, had texted me at noon from an emergency room where her mother had fallen. Interim. 90 days. Project work only. No late nights. Guardrails, not punishment. Nova stared like I had handed her something fragile and useful in the same breath. You'll be my boss? Your manager, I said. We will build a firewall so Hyosha would be proud. She laughed in spite of herself, then covered her mouth like joy might be disallowed. I have the key, she said suddenly, like a confession tumbled out of her. To the apartment. I picked it up yesterday. He wanted me to move some things before the weekend. Slowly, I turned my palm up. She set the brass on my skin. It was heavier than a lie should be. I cannot keep this, I said, closing my fist, feeling the teeth bite. But I can hold it until legal finishes. Don't go there. Do not put so much as a mug in that place. If the lease collapses, let it. If it holds, you will decide with a clear head. Not one, he fogged. Her eyes glossed. Why are you being kind to me? Because I asked the same question when I was your age and the answer was a shrug, I said. I am not interested in recreating that shrug. She left with her shoulders an inch higher. At 5, he texted, we need to talk. I put my phone face down and finished a syllabus I wanted managers to hate. At 6, Maya forwarded me his first threat wrapped as a plea. If Arden is steering this, she is not objective. Maya's reply was one line. Arden is doing her job. You did yours poorly. At 8, my doorbell rang. I did not move. I had already changed the locks that afternoon because people who say I need to talk rarely mean I need to listen. The bell rang again. Then stopped. Then my phone shook with a voicemail I did not open. I set the key on the counter and made tea I would drink this time. One apartment could not hold all the ways he had underestimated me. But it was a start. Monday's all hands on ethics packed the classroom. People came for the policy. They stayed for the silence after the sentence, no exceptions. I put the slide up with the line everyone signs. I did not narrate what happened. I narrated what happens if we pretend nothing did. Attrition. Lawsuits. A culture that eats the good on its way to lunch. Managers ask the questions they always ask when rules meet self-interest. What if it's consensual? Then it is still prohibited, I said. Consent mitigates harm. It does not erase power. What if they do not report it? Then we still have a conflict, I said. We will find it. We always do. Receipts talk. What if the manager is critical to revenue? Then talent is a risk, not a shield, I said. We are not that kind of company. After, Maya stepped in just long enough to be seen. "We mean it," she said, and stepped out. By afternoon I had the interim org chart live, Nova into my special projects pod, 2 additional juniors pulled alongside her so no one could claim favoritism, deliverables that did not touch anything my husband had ever pitched. I scheduled one-on-ones with each. I wrote clear job ladders, date-stamped. I added a line I reserve for crises. No work messages after 6. If it cannot wait, it can wait. At 3, the CFO pinged me. "Quick sync?" "That is finance," where I saw something. In her office, she flipped her screen to me. "Application fee for a lease. Corporate card. Receipted as client hospitality," she said dryly. "We do not house clients, Arden." I did not smile, because we were building a record, not trading jokes. "Pull the last 6 months on that merchant. Total and by requester. I will bundle for legal." She nodded. "You okay?" "I am useful," I said. On my way back, facilities called. "That housing perk audit you asked for?" "Building paused the discount program until we certify a single point of contact. They sent a courtesy email to all applicants." She paused. "Your husband just replied. He copied you." My phone buzzed before I could answer. His message was the sound of a door slamming in a hallway with bad acoustics. "You're punishing me at work for something personal." I typed what I could swear to. "Compliance paused all housing perks company-wide pending review. See attached. This is neutral and necessary." A minute later, "Return the key." I looked at the brass on my desk, at the way a thing can hold more than the metal it is made of. "It's with legal," I wrote. That was true enough. The Office of Legal. My drawer. At 5, I met Nova and the 2 juniors in a small war room and gave them a problem bigger than the gossip that wanted to eat them alive. "We have a client retention dip. We are going to fix it with facts." I lobbed a whiteboard marker to Nova. "Tell me 3 reasons customers churn that are not about price." She blinked, then caught the marker like a reflex she had almost forgotten. "Silence after onboarding," she said. "Handoffs that feel like abandonment. And bad timing on upsells." "Good," I said. "Build me a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day touch plan that never mentions a discount code." The other 2 leaned in. The room got quiet in the useful way. Nova sketched boxes, arrows, words that belonged to her again. Camila texted an hour later from the hospital, "My mom's fine. Surgery went well. Thank you for holding my team. Take whatever you need." I told her we would leave it better than we found it. At home that night, the house felt like a hotel room I had not yet decided to love. I opened my laptop, not to work, but to draft a letter with a different header. My attorneys. A list of accounts. A note about administrative leave. A line about the apartment I had no interest in paying for. I did not send it. Not yet. I needed one more thing, not revenge. Leverage. Tuesday, the investigative interviews wrapped. Legal asked me for my timeline. I gave them the dates, the receipts, the managed moves. I did not give them the text on his lock screen or the candle photo because I do not win by trying to make grown men blush. At noon, Maya called me into a small conference room with frosted glass and 3 chairs. She sat. The CFO sat. The general counsel sat. An empty chair was for the person who was late. My husband walked in 5 minutes after. He sat without saying hello. He looked at me like I had forgotten my place. He looked at Maya like she would rescue him. He looked at the CFO like numbers were a misunderstanding. General counsel began. "We've concluded the preliminary review. Here's what we found." She did not use adjectives. She used verbs. Approved. Reimbursed. Scheduled. Signed. For words that moved him from allegedly to specifically. He tried the script I had predicted. Consenting adults. Overreaction. Witch hunt. Maya raised a hand and the room stopped. You approved compensation for someone you were involved with, she said. You used a corporate card on a lease application. You scheduled one-on-one strategy sprints after 11 at night. You were on administrative leave because you made us choose between revenue and our values. We picked our values. You will either resign today with a mutual separation statement or we will terminate for cause and state the policy you violated. Decide in the next 24 hours. He stared like he had not heard English before. Arden. Maya cut him off. Do not look at your wife. Look at me. Silence pooled. He did not choose in 24 hours. He chose in 2. He sent Maya a letter that tried to sound noble and landed like a man falling downstairs. For the good of the company. To remove distraction. To focus on family. He CC'd me. He BCC'd no one, which is how I know he wanted witnesses. IT removed his access in 12 minutes. He texted anyway. Happy now? I set my phone face down, walked into the war room, and asked Nova to present her 90-day plan. We picked life over performance that day. Then we outperformed anyway. My lawyer's office smells like citrus and printer heat. She is the kind of woman who underlines in pencil and never raises her voice. You have 2 tracks, she said after I finished the facts. Work, which you are handling. And home, which will not handle itself. I do not want his severance paying for an apartment he furnished with my playlist, I said. She nodded. Then we move fast. Administrative leave plus ethics violation? He'll get less than he thinks. We ask for the house, you keep your retirement, he keeps his candles. The corner of her mouth moved. We file, not to punish, but to preserve. I signed where she pointed and left with a calm I had not felt in weeks. Outside, my phone lit up with 3 messages in a row from unknown numbers. The first was an apology written like a press release. The second was blame written like a poem. The third was a photo of a leaf-shaped dish without a key. I typed one line and sent it to my husband because I needed a record that did not leak. Legal has the key. Then I went back to work. At 10 the next morning, Maya pinged me. Board wants an update. Bring the numbers. Numbers are where reputations die on their own. In the boardroom, I laid out 2 charts. One was a slope of retention. One was a slope of risk. I pointed to each and used verbs. Improving. Mitigated. The CFO followed with the lease misuse and card audit. General counsel followed with policy violations and a timeline that read like a calendar of avoidable choices. This is not a scandal, Maya said at the end. This is a company enforcing the rules it teaches. A board member with a watch that could buy a car leaned back. And the junior employee? Protected and reassigned, I said. Now reporting to me on an interim basis under a documented plan. I let the next sentence sit where it belonged. The mistress is not the problem. The manager was. The room exhaled in a way you only hear when relief is allowed. After, Maya walked with me to the elevator. You did not set him on fire, she said. I prefer thermostats to matches, I said. In the war room, Nova had filled the whiteboard with a sequence of touches smart enough to save accounts and simple enough to scale. The other 2 juniors were arguing about copy in the way people do when they have started to believe in their own brains again. Walk me through it, I said, and they did, tripping over each other to claim pieces of the idea. When they finished, I gave them what men get for less. Ship it. Pick a pilot cohort. Measure everything you can measure without annoying the customer. If we're right, you'll know in 10 days. If we're wrong, you'll know in 5. Nova lingered after the others left. He texted me, she said quietly. He said if I cared about his job I'd tell legal we started after he signed my comp. I watched her not cry. What did you say? That I care about my job, she said, small and proud at the same time. Good, I said. Keep caring. That afternoon, facilities confirmed the apartment. Lease on hold pending employer verification freeze. Application fee reversed to the card it came from. I sent the reversal notice to my lawyer. She attached it to our filing with a note that would read clean in any courtroom: client is not liable for housing obtained with company perks during an ethics investigation. At home, I opened a box of old photos and did not cry over any of them. I made a pile labeled mine, a pile labeled his, and a pile labeled we were trying. The last one went in the trash. Trying is honorable. It is also not legally binding. He called that night from a number I did not know, because he had finally learned I was not answering familiar rings. I let it go to voicemail. He said the things men say when their last audience has left the theater. We can fix this. Don't throw everything away. It was a mistake. I put the phone down and wrote 3 lines on an index card for the version of me who might forget. It was a series. It was a choice. It is not mine to repair. The pilot we shipped began to move needles on day 6. Customers did not churn because someone heard them at day 31. The whiteboard became a roadmap. The juniors became a team. Nova became a person in rooms where she had been a rumor. 2 weeks later, Maya asked me to keep the pod. Not interim. Ongoing. You built a thing, she said simply. Keep building. I said yes, not because I wanted to be my husband's mistress's boss forever, but because I had turned that sentence into something clean enough to live with. I became the woman responsible for repairing the damage a man tried to hide with scented wax and a 1-bedroom. On the day the divorce papers served him, he texted congrats like the child he was pretending not to be. I did not reply. Nova sent me a Slack instead. Pilot hit 90-day retention target early. There were 3 fireworks emojis in the thread from other people. She did not add one. She did not need to. I got up, walked to the war room, and told her what my first mentor never told me. You did this, I said. Not me. You made a thing that works. Her chin shook, just once, in the way pride sometimes leaks out of the body when the mind has not yet learned to hold it. The key sat in my desk until legal closed the file. When I finally dropped it in the red envelope bound for evidence storage, it made a sound like truth does when you let it land. Small. Final. I did not keep a souvenir. I kept my job. I kept my name. I kept the part of me that knows how to turn a secret into a system that will outlast us. The week after he resigned, people chose sides the way they always do, quietly, with calendar invites. By Wednesday my attorney had the separation draft ready. I keep the house I pay for. I keep my retirement I earned. He keeps the debts he curated. No slander. Just straight lines. Nova showed up with an envelope that made her hands shake. He'd mailed a glowing recommendation on personal stationery, plus a draft email to a recruiter. Nova was my best decision. A gift that was really a hook. You're not a trophy, I said. We scanned it into the file labeled looks like help, acts like leverage. I made 2 boring, powerful moves company-wide. No personal references on letterhead, and a standard neutral verification template. All references routed through HR fax only. That night he texted from a new number. A founder will call. You can say it was mutual. It was mutual in the sense we both live in reality, I replied. We'll confirm fax. Our pilot started to hum. Customers didn't need charm, they needed a human to remember their name on day 31. On day 45, an old account renewed early. Finance wrote, retention up. Cost flat. I printed it and taped it inside the war room cabinet. I put Nova's name on an interim promotion with measurable goals and one line she reread twice, credit will be public. Saturday he tried a different door, the coffee shop near our old apartment. Compliment, apology, bargain. I can handle the lease if you return the key, he said, like logistics were the wound. You already lost the apartment, I said. The perk froze. Qualify on your own income. You did this to me. I enforced the policy you broke. I'm not here to hurt you, I'm here to stop you from hurting other people. If you don't give me a decent reference, this gets ugly. This is already ugly. Your reference will be honest. Your next chance to be a good man starts when you stop asking women to mop up your consequences. At home, an email, petition filed. Served. I watered the plant that had survived bad light and inconsistent attention and thought, so did I. Monday I stopped being the protagonist and started being a builder. 3 changes. No shadow time, 2 protected hours daily, no meetings, no pings. Ladders in writing, criteria, receipts, or the ladder doesn't move. 2 keys, any change to money or title needs 2 approvals on different lines. If one key sleeps with the person at the door, both keys get replaced. Managers complained in the familiar ways. This will slow us down. You don't trust us. Speed isn't our value, I said. Trust isn't a feeling. Prove it. Nova brought a sharper metric, S for silence, the days since a real conversation. We weighted it higher than price complaints. S dropped when we cared early. Retention followed. A burner DM slid into Nova's inbox, meet me. You don't know what you don't know. His grammar. Legal sent the non-solicit reminder. IT blocked the domain. Facilities added his name to the escorts required list. I told the team aloud, forward, breathe, don't reply. You're not alone. The CFO ran the equity check I'd asked for months ago. Juniors on our pod were underleveled. Fix it now or later, she said. Now is cheaper and true. We did raises and back pay. People signed eDocs with hands that shook, the good kind. Maya asked me to present the changes on a company livestream. Someone asked if love was banned. Love isn't a policy problem, power is. Someone asked if I was bitter. I'm tired and I'm building. Those aren't the same. Chat filled with messages that weren't a chorus, which is why they mattered. One simply said, I stayed. Because of this. Builders sleep and come back. Heroes burn out. We were done needing heroes. Mediation day arrived with rain that sounded like typing on the roof. I put an index card by my water glass, it was a series. It was a choice. It isn't mine to repair. His lawyer opened with a number that treated math like a feeling. Mine countered with pay stubs and time. He tried to talk to me in the hallway. You don't have to win this. I'm not trying to win, I said. I'm trying to end. By afternoon the mediator slid a proposal that looked like adulthood, house to me, retirement split by timelines, not tantrums, no support, mutual non-disparagement, he keeps his debts and collectibles I never understood, I keep the dog I always walked. We signed. Outside, the rain stopped like someone had unplugged it. It didn't feel like triumph, just the absence of a weight I'd normalized. Back at work, 90-day retention hit the target 2 weeks early. Maya dropped by with 2 paper cups and 1 word that changes posture, director. You already do the job, she said. The pod comes with you. So does the budget. Use it like a hammer, and a quilt. That night I opened the last box labeled in his handwriting, wedding album. I didn't burn it. I closed it, wrote a date on a sticky note, and left it on the building's lending shelf with the cookbooks. If someone needed art from the past, they could have it. I was keeping the present. He texted on a Thursday. Didn't get the job. Your reference was neutral. You could have helped. Neutral is help, I wrote back. It's the difference between truth and revenge. I walked into an interview with a brilliant woman in her 50s who should have been hired years ago. We hired her. It felt like an answer. Legal closed the evidence file. I rearranged my pens so the blue ones were in front, small order after big chaos. An industry group asked me to speak on ethics at scale. I said yes, no gossip, say the hard parts. Policies fail because we write them for who we wish we were. Write for who we are. In the hallway, people didn't ask for photos, they asked for tools. One forwarded our no-shadow doc to her manager with the subject "For my brain." Another used 2 keys to block a favor promotion. A 20-something whispered, "I thought I had to leave tech to be safe. I'll try one more time." Nova handed me a brass key bottle opener tagged, "For doors that are actually yours." I hung it on the hook where I keep truth disguised as a joke. By summer our playbook had a quiet name other teams liked: stewardship. Retention stayed up. Complaints didn't vanish, but they arrived with context and solutions, which is adulthood. Once, between cereal and cereal pretending to be cookies, I ran into his mother. She looked at my basket: olive oil, spinach, a chocolate bar I'd pretend to ration. "Are you all right?" "I'm building," I said. She nodded, eyes bright, like that's a diagnosis doctors should use more. On a clear morning I let the dog off leash in the big field. He ran like joy had been waiting at the edge of his muscles. I sat and wrote a list of people who made me more myself this year, and put my own name last because I finally believed it belonged. If you've learned someone's secret by the light of a phone you wish you hadn't checked, hear me, you didn't cause it, you don't have to cure it. You can turn it into a system that keeps others safe. You can leave, and stay with yourself. Tell me in the comments if you've ever turned a break into a build. If this steadied your breathing, type steady. Subscribe if you want messy truth and clean tools. We're done writing myths. We're writing weather. The dog brought back someone else's tennis ball and dropped it at my feet, the universal invitation to try again. I threw it and watched him go.